Thomas! It's up for grabs now! Thomas!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Very, very welcome to another fantastic episode of the Arsenal Lounge on Monday nights. And we've got obviously the usual guest. Lev is back now, minus the black eye.
Back with a vengeance. Back with a vengeance. Can't wait. I'm happy to be back. Yeah, man. I'm good.
Everything, the eye is okay?
Yeah, the eye's good, man. It's good to see you smiling all of a sudden. Off camera, you was a right boring, moody git, weren't you?
Yeah, I did say I was sorting out a few things. We always start. I try to start the shows in the positive, and bring some obviously joyous news to start with. So there are a few congratulations I need to start with. A big congratulations to Emil Smith-Rowe for his first call up to England squad. Another big congratulations to Gabriel, who's got his first call up to Brazilian squad.
Deserved.
And last but not least, a massive congratulations to Mr. Haider for his birthday.
Is it today?
I know you're not a fan of birthdays, but
it was Friday. But I thought
we do what we have to do.
I thought the last one was going to be a massive congratulations to Salah Olad or Salah Eddin, who's got such a long-barreled name, for getting a nomination for Player of the Month in the PL2.
I didn't know that.
That's one you missed, Shaheen.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So
not very prepared, are you, mate?
Yeah, well,
forget about my birthday. You know what the thing is with birthdays? Yeah, I always say, like, I'm 37. What can I do at 37 that I couldn't do at 36? So who cares? Do you know what I mean?
It's just a birthday, man. We just say happy birthday, Mo, and you say, "Oh, cheers, guys. It's very kind of you," and we move on.
Cheers, guys. Very kind of you.
Move on.
How are you anyway? You good?
All good. I'm happy.
Everything okay?
Yeah, you said you want to start on a positive note. I hope it's going to be hard for us to come up with many, if any, negatives, right? Because
there is one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I've got one.
Oh, okay.
So I will come to that later on. Tom, how are you?
Very good. I mean, I got my birthday in a couple of weeks, but Mo's made me feel like crap about having it now. So I'm not that fussed about it to be anymore, to be honest.
Just 1 year closer to death, Tom.
Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, what's the next thing? 37, the next thing to celebrate is what? Bus pass? Is that what comes next?
Exactly. To celebrate that one, when you get your pension, when you retire, all of that stuff.
Yeah, but I'm glad everybody is good and you all got smiles on your face. And we'll start with the man who was not here last week. Lev,
yes.
What was your thoughts on the game?
Right. It could have been very different if we had been a bit more ruthless in the first half, but then it became one of those games where they parked the bus, and as Mo was saying offline a few minutes back, they started to suck the life out of the game, and it become one of those sort of tentative games where you were worried that you could get sucker punched or we wouldn't get that goal. But had Aubameyang, for example, controlled that ball, and when he had that chance, he was off. That was my one negative. He was off yesterday. I mean, he should have tucked that first one away, missed the penalty, and he cost Odegaard a goal as well. But other than that, I mean, let's be honest here. It was one of those games that Watford couldn't really do much other than sit back and try and soak it up and take something from the game. And the main thing is 3 points, lads. We got 3 points, and we're now pushing up that table. And we're level on points with West Ham. We're in fourth. No, actually, West Ham are 3 points ahead of us now, aren't they? Because they won yesterday, I think. But at least we're up there in fifth and looking down at a few people who were laughing at us earlier on in the season. So I'm happy.
I'm going to ask you this, and obviously Mo and Tom as well, when you give me your thoughts on the game. What's your thoughts on this throw-in business for the goal?
Do you know what?
Do they have a point?
Right, listen. Literally, as soon as the ball went off, it was Özkan, wasn't it? The Turkish player, wasn't it? He was down.
Ozan Tufan.
Tufan, yeah. And he literally got up seconds after that ball went off. I think they're clutching at straws. And you know what? We've had our fair share of poor decisions. So, stop whining about it.
If that was the other way around, Lev, would you have expected Watford to give us the ball back? Be honest.
It's a tough one because no one really noticed it until after when the pundits started harping on about it, and then Watford started.
Yeah, because Ranieri had a good moan at Arteta.
It's not like, did you hear the pundits go, "Oh my God, Arsenal didn't give the ball back during the game"?
I didn't even know about it until after the game.
Yeah, exactly, and it wasn't like a major injury. And to be honest with you, we should have had that game like put to bed way before that, and we could have won by 3, 4, 5 goals. So. Just suck it up, guys. Like if we get bad decisions against us, we're told to suck it up. If we get good, bad decisions for us, then it all comes out in the news, and all these pundits start coming out, like Jamie O'Hara, and Chris Sutton come out with it as well, didn't he? And then someone actually posted a video of him at Blackburn doing exactly the same thing against us. So do you know what? Suck it up, guys. We've had to suck it up with all the bad decisions. Now it's your turn to suck it up. Shithousery. That's what we call it.
Mo, what about you?
It's interesting because basically, any time Arsenal fans defend Arsenal, as all fans of all clubs do, anytime I've heard anyone talk about this, they're kind of like, no one ever says, no, we were right not to play it back. People talk about various other things. So, like, for example, Lever's just done in terms of, Chris Sutton said this, but he did it. And people say, oh, yeah, but we get bad luck as well. No Arsenal fan I've actually heard dispute the actual crux of the issue and say, no, we were right not to kick it back. We were wrong. We should have kicked it back. It would have been the sportsman's thing to do to kick it back. The issue was slightly confused with the fact that by the time Laka went and got the ball, the player was up. So it's almost like Danny Rose kicked out for no reason. But in spite of that, it was very clear that Danny Rose kicked it out intentionally because he thought a player needed treatment. And on that basis, you should then turn around and say, all right, fine, it was never our ball to have. You were in possession of the ball. So, yeah, I'll put my hands up and I'll say it was harsh on Watford. We should have given it back. Am I going to lose any sleep on it? Lose any sleep over it as an Arsenal fan? No. But if I was a Watford fan, I'd be feeling really gutted because they lost the game 1-0 and that was the goal. So that, I'll put my hands up. We should have. But what I would say as well is that there was a lot of, so I'm no excusing it. I've fully admitted, yes, Arsenal were wrong. But there was also a lot of time that elapsed after that. Watford had control of the ball. They had possession of the ball. They then played themselves in trouble a little bit. There was also a foul. I think it was Maitland-Niles on Sarr, if I remember correctly.
That was a foul, by the way.
I don't think that was a foul.
Of course, yeah.
What? That was a definite foul, Shaheen.
So not only as a Watford fan would I be thinking Arsenal were out of order because they didn't do the sportsman's thing, I'd also then be annoyed at the ref, and I'd be thinking, bloody hell, bad luck upon bad luck. So yeah, sorry, Watford.
You know what, Mo? Sorry, Shaheen. Mo's hit the nail on the head for me. I was more concerned. I didn't even notice the throw-in issue. I was more concerned the goal was going to be disallowed due to that foul by Ainsley Maitland-Niles, because that for me was a foul, and he could have easily chalked that off.
Yeah. What about the game?
Look, I think basically, do you know that there's this tendency, right, for fans to kind of be like, don't care, 3 points. And yes, obviously that's all how we feel. But if we're going to be like somewhat objective, somewhat fair about presenting some sort of analysis rather than just kind of being like fan hat on all the time, yeah, come on. Surely none of us can really deny that if the shoe was on the other foot, Watford did that to us, we lost the game 1-0, we'd be talking about that as the major talking point and we'd be really annoyed about it. So, who cares? But the one thing I will say, to do that and to not give a damn, to just do that and say we don't care about sportsmanship, we're just going to do it, shows a ruthlessness, shows the level of cojones, if I can use that word, against Watford Football Club, that perhaps would be missing in previous years. And none of the Watford players had the cojones, and I'll use that word again, to foul one of us, to pull one of us back and stop us in our tracks and say, you should be giving us a ball back. None of them had the cojones to do that. They let us do it. So who knows? Maybe in a different game, other teams, other players, other clubs might have had more cojones and not let that happen in the first place.
Okay. Well, what about the game in general?
Hell of a lot of cojones over there.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Every time I play Watford, it just comes up. Because when else have you seen a professional player after a game go into the studio and like be that sort of like disrespectful to their peers and talk about their cojones. Like, it was very unheard of for Troy Deeney to do that, yet he did it. So, you know, you're going to have to, there's just certain things that happen that when that fixture comes around again, it just triggers the memory. So if Liverpool ever play Sunderland, I think of the beach ball. You know, if Arsenal play Newcastle, I think of 4-4. You know, there's certain iconic things, right? And for me, this is one of those iconic things, and it will always come up. So I'm glad Arsenal showed those cojones to say, we don't give a damn. We're going to be ruthless. Fair play. That's what Troy Deeney asked for. That's what he got today. Against Watford.
What, cojones?
Tom, what about you?
Yeah, I said on my channel after the game, I said if that happened to Arsenal, I'd be fuming. I would be absolutely fuming from our perspective. But I'd like Lev brought up other examples. I was one of those people that did that. I think back to the Tottenham goal in the North London derby earlier this season with Granit Xhaka down injured. They run through and score, and Xhaka's still out for us. So it's just, look, I've been calling out for Arsenal to be a little bit more savvy, a little bit more streetwise, and you know, have as you say, a little bit more shithousery about their game, and we need that if you're going to get into where we want to be. Look, there's no clean title wins, there's no clean Champions League wins. There's a bit of luck and there's a little bit of an edge that goes alongside all of those wins and victories somewhere throughout the campaigns on competitions. And if Arsenal want to get back into the top 4, then we're going to need things like that going for us, because by God, we really did try to lose that game. We desperately tried our hardest not to win that game. So we were going to need a little bit of luck go our way, and it did, thankfully.
Oh, can I just say as well, it was only last week that Aubameyang, when he was clean through, was pulled down. Should have been a red. That wasn't given, was it?
But look, see, this is a thing. This is kind of what gets me, is because, Tom, you're talking about something that happened in an Arsenal-Tottenham game. You're talking about what happened to Aubameyang. None of that has got any relevance to Watford. So, and none of it has got any relevance to this game. So I think if we take it on its own merits, yes, it was out of us. But the funny thing that I find about football is that you spend all game trying to cheat. You know, you're pulling shirts, you're kind of like claiming things that aren't yours, and you know it, you're trying to con the ref, and you spend the whole game trying to cheat, and then all of a sudden you don't pass the ball back, and it's like so dishonorable. It's just the irony of it just makes me laugh a little bit.
Well, listen, my thoughts on this, right, is it was wrong. That's to start with, right? Because we all agree if it was the other way around, we all would have said, "Oh, this is wrong. This is not right." Especially the goal has come from this. If nothing came of it, I don't think we would have talked about it. You know. But because we scored from it, it has become an issue. If I was Alexander Lacazette, I would have given the ball back, regardless of the scoreline and everything. But the only thing I would say is that up to that point, Watford were not particularly playing football either. They were kicking us around. They were very physical. They came to be physical. They were getting a lot of yellow cards. They ended up having a player sent off. So it's so well and good for Claudio Ranieri to turn around and at the end of the game and have a bit of a pop at Mikel Arteta and say, "You guys should have done this. You guys should have done that." But you have to say, "But hold on, your tactic was to come here and kick us off the park and you know, be physical and, you know, stop the game and do exactly all the things that you shouldn't be doing." So I think that balances it out in my book. But if you want to have a look at that particular incident, I'm with Mo on this one. It was wrong. We have to admit it was wrong, and we move on from it. As for the game, I thought going forward, we were not as fluent as the weeks before. Aubameyang had a poor game, as we mentioned. It's the second time he missed a penalty. So I don't know, next time it's going to be a penalty, because I know Lacazette is a very good penalty taker. So is he going to step up to take a penalty? Is Aubameyang going to take it? I don't know why he tried to score a goal when the ball was clearly going in from Odegaard's shot, which, you know, I didn't understand why he was trying to do. Is he desperate for a goal? But again, it was a short performance from the back, and it was not a good performance, but a good 3 points. And we move on. Very good run towards the international week. We're going to be off for a while now.
Shaheen, can I just say something? Mo, not you, Mo, but Mohammed in the chats. Every Monday he does this, yeah. He turns around and says, drop a link. He's gonna come on. You gotta understand, this show is not that kind of show. You can't just come on anytime you feel like it. So the answer is no, Mo. There you go. Can we move on from there?
Yeah. So Mo, why do you think Aubameyang went?
Hold on, you just said Mo couldn't come on. Now you're asking him questions.
All Mo's are the same, are they, Tom? God.
You know, Mo's
Oh wow! You
you're
go there.
talking-
Oh, nice one.
you know, Mo's the most popular name on the planet, so you're excluding a lot of people.
Right. You're right.
So, Mr. Haider, you know, why do you think? What do you think Aubameyang was thinking when he went to touch that ball?
Striker's instinct. I don't think he was trying to steal a goal off of Ødegaard. I think it's quite a reflex. And also the ball wasn't like center of the goal. Even when I watch a replay, I don't know whether that's hitting the post and bouncing out, hitting the post and going in, or going in, not even hitting the post. It's difficult. I haven't seen like all angles. The thing that frustrates me more though is Aubameyang's complete lack of awareness of the fact that he was offside. If Aubameyang knew he was onside, then that was the right thing to do, because it doesn't matter about who scores the goal. You just make sure it goes in. So if that means it looks a little bit harsh, if you've stolen someone's goal, doesn't matter. You just make sure it goes in. But he was so blatantly, so clearly offside that when that ball came across, I thought to myself, well, surely he should be aware of that and not play the ball, because, you know, clearly what's going to happen is what ended up happening, and he's going to take a goal away from a teammate or from the team. So I can't quite believe that he was that unaware. But then you also have to think of the fact that this came after he missed the penalty. It also came after he should have taken a decent touch and slotted the ball away from Lacazette's cross after brilliant work from Maitland-Niles. Because of a poor touch, it brought Saka into play, who was then offside after his touch, and then the goal was disallowed. So those two things were probably on his mind, and I guess that maybe just increased the desperation a little bit for him to correct his errors. And I think we've all done it. We've all played football. You make a few errors and you start trying to force things. And I think Aubameyang was guilty of that. He looked quite sheepish when he was on the ground, when he realised what he had done, sort of like put his hands up to Ødegaard. I just think he needs to buy Ødegaard something very expensive, very flashy, to compensate him, because Ødegaard lost out on a goal and a goal bonus. So if after Aubameyang going to be coming in with something designer or something flashy as a little apology the next day at training. But look, Aubameyang had a stinker. There's 3 examples there, all examples of where we should have added a goal to our kind of tally, and we didn't because of him. But I'm going to trust my captain. I'm going to say, do you know what? Let's see how he makes up for it when we come back against Liverpool. Let's see what he does there and puts it right.
Okay. Love, do you agree?
He was just having one of those games, wasn't he? Do you know, like, I've seen people have those games. I've had those games before. I think I had one of those games. Shaheen, you've had quite a few. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that you could see that after he, like the way he started the game, that poor touch at the beginning, the penalties, I wouldn't trust him on penalties. Aubameyang is a great striker for me. He is great, but the penalties, I just never trust him full-heartedly on the penalties. He does this thing where he stands straight on in front of the ball, then he takes a big gulp of air, then you just don't feel confident that he's going to slot it in. Whereas with Lacazette, I just feel he's got this ruthless edge from the spot. So personally, myself, if someone's like, he got lucky when he missed against Villa and he had the rebound, you know, he's had another chance and this time he's missed it totally. So I would give it to somebody else, but he just had a bad day at the office and really fortunately got away with it, because you could argue he cost us 3 goals. Really, couldn't you? It's 3 goals he's cost us there. We should have been 4 up. So I agree he had a bad day at the office, but, you know, everyone has them. Let's just move on from it. We won.
I agree with both of you, so that's nice and quick from me. I come to you, Tom, last because I wanted to know your thoughts on this.
He values
and also, I know
you've been...
It's so true, Tom.
Do you mind, Lev? Is it all right if I carry on asking a question?
What, you're going to block me again
Kick
like
him
you did
out.
last week?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
going to block
it's not
me,
a problem.
Even with a black eye, I came on and you blocked me from the chat. I can't even use that anymore, that profile on
as
here.
I was saying, Tom, right? I know you've been reporting on this apparent bid of £80 million that we're going for a striker.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll come to you last. So, one, your thoughts, obviously, on this Aubameyang situation and what's happening with this striker. I don't know him. I'll be very honest with you. I don't know much about him. So if you can tell us a bit about him, and is it true that we're going for him? It's not like us to drop £80 million on a player.
Yeah, you're right. It's not. Just on Aubameyang briefly. I thought it was probably his worst display of the season so far. To be honest, I think that's not really. There's too much debate about that. Should have had a better touch. Should have scored. Should have scored his penalty. Should have not taken the goal away from Odegaard. I think all of those things combined just leads to. I think he's got something like a 64% conversion rate in the league.
Well, someone's put in here, Tom. He
good.
scored 9 and missed 5.
Yeah, so I think it's 64.3. Some quick maths there.
That's impressive.
Thanks.
I wanted to
you can double check that if you want. It's ex-teacher skills. That's what it is. So, but no, I think when it comes down to him, I'll be swapping it to Lacazette while Lacazette's starting. I mean, Lacazette's not been starting loads of games, but while he's on the pitch, he's got a 100% record from penalties for Arsenal. So why you wouldn't throw him into the hat rather than going to someone that's got nearly a 50-50 chance makes little sense to me. But yeah, on Vlahovic, I think he's a player that, first of all, I've learned to pronounce correctly. It's not Vlahovic, it's not Vlahovic.
What's the correct pronunciation?
I hear the commentators of Serie A say Vlahovic. Vlahovic, yes. So that's apparently
I've not watched him. How good is he, Tom?
He's very good. He scored 21 goals last season in Serie A. He was only 21 years of age then. This season he's got, I think, 8 in 12 this season. So I mean, he's a regular scorer. He's different to what we have. He's a lot bigger. His toy's over 6 foot in height. Ironically, he's not geared towards aerial play. Like, he's not someone that you buy and he's going to add loads of aerial threat. It's actually an area of his game that he still needs to improve a bit more in. But for a tall player, he's not slow. He's quick. He's technically gifted. He can score from in the box. He can score from outside the box. He's got plenty of ability to his game, and he is rated as kind of probably bar Haaland, the highest rated 22 and under player on the continent right now. And regarding the link, it was Dimarzio that reported the 80 million euros. We did a show with Chris Wheatley on the Arsenal Way earlier on, and I asked him about this, and he didn't really give anything away from kind of his angle of sources. So Dimarzio is a very reliable journalist. He's someone that, especially in the Italian side of things, really knows his stuff, and wouldn't really be throwing this out there if there wasn't smoke without fire type of thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal have gone to them and said, look, we want him, because they know that they need to invest in a striker in the coming months, and it's a position that we need to get right. So if they're willing to throw down 80 million euros on him, I would say that that's probably a fair price for the potential that you're going to be getting. It's about, what, £64 million, £68 million? So
Tom,
yeah. Yes, mate.
Who'd you say is very similar to in the Premier League? So I'll get it.
Oh, that's tough.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
No, I think Calvert-Lewin's a lot more. He is. I think he is better.
Giroud.
The thing is, no, he's not similar to Giroud, because whilst he's tall, the aerial part of his game isn't his primary. So that's why I don't go for Giroud or Calvert-Lewin. It's not.
Is he quick? Has he got a bit of pace?
Yeah, he's got a bit of pace. Basically, look, he's someone that you could say in a few years' time, and I say a fair few years' time, could develop into someone along the lines of a Lukaku-style player. Someone who's not necessarily known for his aerial ability, but is still very much physical, still can, win a fair few headers. He's got that strength, but he's a powerful forward with speed and finishing.
It's really interesting that you say Lukaku, because from the little I've seen of Vlahovic, I often find myself thinking he's not going to score, and then he does. And I feel like some of his touches in build-ups to goals leave a little bit to be desired. I don't feel like there's that real sort of perfection in his touch. Yeah, it's not refined. So often I'm kind of looking at him thinking, oh, bad touch, oh, all right touch, average touch, goal. And I kind of feel it's like, clinical. When he's there in front of goal, and he's not one of those players where, when he has time to think, I think he's not good. I'm not saying that. I just kind of feel like, yeah, he can score goals. He's very much a penalty area player.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, in terms of what Arsenal need, I think we need a combination of hold-up play, which I think he has, but being able to bring other people into the game and also being a finisher. Lacazette and Aubameyang individually don't possess that. Collectively, they do possess that. And I don't feel like Vlahovic has got that refined style of play where he can bring people into the game as well.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't drop deep, so he's not the style that he would. He's not a Lacazette that drops in. That's certainly he's the one that stays up. He bides his time. He is 21 still, so I mean he's not going to be refined yet. There is going to be.
And Lukaku wasn't refined, and that's why I found that comparison interesting.
So I think the same feeling about Zapata as well when I watched him at
Duvan Zapata at Inter.
Atalanta,
sorry.
Atalanta, His touch doesn't look all that, and then he looks like he's taking his time, but somehow he always manages to get a shot on. So I don't understand how he does it. So
I think he's worth the 80 million in the sense that he's worth an investment. Like you won't get a return on that in his first season, but you will get a return gradually because he's, as I say, he is one of the highest rated players. But if you want someone to come in and say next season, push us onwards from what Aubameyang gives us, I'm not sure that he would do that immediately, but I think he would do it in 2 to 3 seasons and then continue to do that and impress and progress.
Okay. Just from a business point of view, I think it's astonishing that we're going to pay £80 million for a player and then we're going to let a player that we paid £40 million for to let him walk away for free. But that's another topic for another day.
Can I just ask, before we move on, people in the chat as well, and you guys, do you have your eye on any player who you'd be like, that's the striker I want? Because as Tom says, we do need to sort out that situation and do need to get someone for the future. There's Alexander Isak, there's Vlahovic, there's even slight rumours of Andrea Belotti that have come out a little bit, even though I kind of feel like he's not the force he used to be. Anyone else?
I quite like Martinez from Inter Milan, but I don't think they'll say
he's just signed a new deal. Osimhen at Napoli is a good shout in the chat. Gooner Greg, he signed for Napoli for about 70 mil, so you're going to have to pay up nearly close to, I reckon, 100 million if you want Osimhen. The other one for me is Youssef En-Nesyri at Sevilla, Moroccan striker. He's been injured lately, so he's not getting too many minutes. And the other one that's a really kind of left field pick is Karim Adeyemi at Red Bull Salzburg, who's kind of the next Salzburg prodigy after Holland and Patson Daka, and of course, so he's the next. He's only 19 though, but he's coming through and looking very good. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna go to international break after very, very good run of form, good wins. Things have changed, assured performances. Teams look a little bit more gelled in together. First game back, Liverpool away. I like to ask these yes or no answers. Do you expect at this stage, right? I want a yes or no only. Do you expect Arsenal to get anything out of that game, whether it's point or 3 points? Lev?
Why not?
Is it yes or no?
Yes.
You expect Arsenal to get a point or 3 points?
Yeah.
Okay. Mo?
No.
Tom?
No.
That's 3 no's.
It's that word expect. You said I don't expect.
I expect. Yeah. Like I don't. It's a free hit. It's a free game for Mikel Arteta for me, right? What I'll be looking at, I'll personally be looking at that game thinking, I'm not expecting you to go get a draw or win. I expect you to go there and just be solid, right? If you're gonna lose properly. Don't go there and lose 5-0 and come away. Don't fall apart. Go there, good structure, good tactics, and try to do your best, and then we'll see what that gets us. Lev, you obviously expect differently. I'll come to you first because you had a different answer. So what do you expect from that game?
I expect Arsenal to look at what West Ham did for a start, because where they had a lot of joy and success is they really did put Liverpool under a lot of pressure. And
this is at Anfield, you know that.
It doesn't matter. Set pieces is where Liverpool have a weakness, right? So if we're going to look to get a point or win, we've got to look at that in a lot of detail and say, look, there's a chance, there's every chance they're going to have a lot of the ball at Anfield. We've got to be solid, stay strong, and look to capitalize on those moments. And that's what I would expect from Arsenal. I want to see a strong display. I'm starting to trust this defense a lot more. Tomiyasu is understated. Like, he's very, very assured. I mean, even when Sarr went across to the other side, Sarr had the better of him for a second, but after that, he got to grips with him. And I like Gabriel and White, and I just like our back line at the moment. And I think Partey will be back for that game. Why not? Why not? Why can't we get a point from that game? And it will. if we can get something from that game, it will start to show that we are going in the right direction. It will galvanize us even further. I think it's very, very important that we put in a good performance, because people could argue, yeah, we were expected to win the games we've won. All right, yeah, the Leicester away game was good. But I want to see a performance against the top side like Liverpool to at least show that we are moving in the right direction. So I would expect set pieces to be worked on a lot. And Gabriel is starting to look like a bit of a beast in on the set pieces. He was unlucky again yesterday. He done everything right. He headed it down. Great save from Foster. And, you know, it's not the first time Gabriel's done that. So why not? And by the way, sorry, Crook, it was you that said it, mate.
Can I get your prediction as well?
Maybe 1-1.
Okay, Moh?
I think Lev has given a pretty bloody solid answer to back up getting a point.
Nice change,
getting something out of Liverpool, because it's the first game.
Is that what you said?
It's the first game Liverpool have lost all season. And set pieces, especially corner kicks, were absolutely central to that victory for West Ham. Alisson just did not look the same. You could say he was at fault for all 3 goals. Now, for me, having watched that, Liverpool are going to be slightly nervous in the next game about set pieces, about defending corners. They will obviously work on it to instantly address that. But until they have a spell of 2-3 games where they're kind of saying, okay, fine, we have cracked it, it was a one-off, there will be a bit more riding on it for them. They're going to be told in no uncertain terms by Jurgen Klopp, do your goddamn jobs, and this is the system, whether it's zone or whether it's man marking, whether it's a hybrid, no matter what they do. So there will be a lot of focus on it, and with that, they'll kind of be very eager to respond and show that they're not dodgy from corners. So I think Arsenal need to kind of play on that fear. If I was Gabriel, I'd be walking in there being like, you messed up last time, didn't you? You know, I'd be kind of playing on that a little bit. That is the way that I want to see Arsenal try and expose what is a weakness amongst very few weaknesses in Liverpool. And if we don't hit into the box, very good corners, and really attack them with a lot of vigor, I'm going to be very frustrated, because as I see it, it's our best chance of winning the game. Having said all of that, I don't think we'll win the game. I think, we'll lose 3-1.
Tom?
Yeah, I agree with Mo. I think that there's a lot of, not just because Lev said what he said, I think Lev made some really good points, but I agree with Mo, because I think that when it comes to Arsenal in these games, that we often build ourselves up, we build up a little bit of momentum, and we beat sides, and then it comes to the big tests, and Anfield is a completely different test to West Ham playing them at the London Stadium. Like, we can take a lot from that game, yes, but under the lights at Anfield with that crowd behind them, they are going to be a different animal to what we saw in East London the other day. So I'm predicting that we'll kind of hold out 0-0 to half time, and then I think they'll notch one, and then that might just knock us for 6, and then we might actually concede a kind of couple late on. Scoring is going to be tough, because at the moment, that's the weakest part of our side for me, is kind of the attacking line and being clinical and finishing off chances. So we need everyone to, any chances we create, we have to take, because I can't see us getting many. So my head says 3-0 Liverpool, but I really want to say that we might be able to nick a score draw. But yeah, my head says I think Liverpool will win this one.
Okay, I actually agree with you. I think Lev has made very good points from yesterday's game. But I
can't never make any good points. You lot just keep going on about it. Like what?
No, it's just it's good points about set piece, Lev. But I just think overall.
Yeah. Anyway, glad.
Overall watch.
So anyway, swiftly moving on.
This is what I worry Arsenal will do at Anfield. They're really well, then we just freeze. That's it. When it comes to our moment.
That's a perfect picture for him, though. I mean, that's a profile picture if you've ever seen one. Surely, that's got to be it. We finally found.
Should we just leave him? Oh, he's back.
He's back now. There he is.
I was just saying. Sorry,
that's what you get for talking trash about me, Shaheen.
No. I was saying you've got good points, but I think overall Liverpool will have more for us. You know, it's not just about set piece. They'll have a lot more. For us to be able to handle, because remember, all they need to do is stop us having corners, right? And then they got a lot more going forward than we have going forward. So it's going to be a difficult game. I just think we're not going to go and get done like we used to. That's if we have to go by the recent form. Right, we've done 35 minutes, which is roughly about exactly what I wanted to do to talk about all of these things. Now, from this point onwards, I want everybody in the chat to take part in the next topic because this concerns all of us. So recently we tried to break away and join this Super League, and it hasn't worked. It backfired. Cronkies, they tried to do a lot of things to kind of paper over cracks and get on the good books again and so and so. One of the things that they did was they said we're going to interact with fans more. So they created this advisory board. Now, what this advisory board does,
someone's been looking at my Twitter feed.
They consult the board and they consult Arsenal, right, on issues from fans' point of view. So they speak for me, they speak for Tom, they speak for Mo, they speak for Lev, and they speak for everybody in the comments. That's why I want you guys to take part in this, right? Now, I'm going to share something with you, and Tom, I hope you don't mind because
Tom,
this was a last-minute search.
No, this is going.
I'm going to have to use your Twitter for this.
This is my fault, by the way, Tom. I highlighted it to him yesterday.
You did. I know you did.
Right. So this picture, this is the advisory board, right? And somebody called Mikey has been very kind enough to put down who's who. And I'm going to read from the back row, left to right. Tim Lewis, Arsenal Board of Director. Drew Gray, Arsenal Independent Supporters. Vinay, Chief Executive. Tim Payton, Arsenal Supporters Trust. Josh Kroenke, we all know who he is. Mark Brindle, AFC Supporters Liaison Officer. Mark Gonella, AFC Media Communication. Zach Wagman, Young Fan Representative. Daniel Bailey, Arsenal Disabled Supporters Association. Incidentally, I tried to look him up. Daniel, for some reason, has blocked us on Twitter. I'm not sure why, since we have.
Oh, it's good to get some of your own medicine, isn't it, Shaheen?
Well, I'm sure we'll live to see another day. Angus Morat, Gay Gunners. Mick Patfield, Domestic Supporters Club. So that's the picture. That's who they are. I'll remove this. Mo, does that represent you? One. Two, if I'm not mistaken, no, actually, I'm not going to go into the second part. Does that represent you?
Minefield of a question.
Well, I'm a bloke. So on that basis, yeah, it represents me abundantly, doesn't it? Listen, look, it's not discreet, in terms of what you're saying. And yeah, I mean, can you put the picture up again?
Do we have to?
Listen, let me just say something, right? I'm not knocking this, by the way, right? We're just going to talk about it because they're supposed to be there representing me, right? And you and everybody in the groups. So if a topic is coming up, let me go. Hold on.
If you have it, just pick it up again.
Right. So if a topic is coming up, I'm expecting people like Daniel, who, if I'm not mistaken, he was on AFTV as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's the same guy, right?
Daniel's a nice guy, but my
no, I'm not saying he's not a nice guy.
Yeah,
but
we don't know any of these people's personalities. This is not obviously personal to them at all. But
no, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
So sorry, Mo, but some of these guys, they're actually employed by Arsenal. So that's one thing. They don't represent fans.
So that's what I was going to do. That's the first thing. There's 12 people in this picture. Yeah.
So,
how many of them are selected from fans? How many of them are employees of Arsenal? So the first three are employees. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Tim Lewis, obviously, is an employee.
So sorry, Drew Gray.
Then you've got Vinay. Then you've got Josh.
No, 5 of them are Arsenal employees.
Yeah, I think 5 they are, yes.
Yeah. So 7 of them aren't. Now, of those 7, so these are the people that have been selected. The 5 employees, let's discount them. The 7 that have been selected. I'm looking at them. I see no women. I see no one of colour. I kind of feel like it. I just think it's a shame. They may well do a really good job in representing us, But I just think it's a shame that in this day and age, it's just so one-dimensional. I'd be incredibly frustrated if I was a woman. So, I'll kind of say it on behalf of the female Arsenal fans. That would really annoy me. I don't see a single black person in there. I don't see a single Asian person there from the fans that have been
Apart
selected.
from Vinay.
No, from the fans that have been selected.
Yeah.
So, I find that a bit disappointing in this day and age.
Do you think I'll come back to you, Mo. Lev.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this?
I have no thoughts on it, to be honest with you. I've kind of given up on these sort of supporters, sort of representations and all of that. It's always rigged for me. It's always a stacked deck. They plant people in there so they can maintain control, in my opinion. So I don't really think about it anymore. It's like AST. What happened with AST? 1 minute it was like this. It was meant to be a representation for the fans, and they used to ask questions. The next minute, it just sort of started to drift more and more distant and more controlled. And I just given up on these sort of things. But yes, I agree though. Look, they've pushed women's football really hard recently. The women's Arsenal team have done well. Why don't we have female representation? Where is that? I mean, they didn't really put a lot of thought into it, in my opinion. But I put just as much thought into it myself.
Just a quick point. Someone called Crook has just mentioned in the comments, Vinay's of colour. I'm separating people that have been selected to represent the fan base. Clearly, we're not going to have Arsenal employees representing the fan base because they're not paying fans. I did say that. Maybe Crook didn't catch it, but just to reiterate that point.
My thoughts on this is it's very... I look at this, right? And I don't see, for example, if there is another Super League situation or if there's another similar sort of topic, I don't see anybody stepping up to these guys. Arsenal Supporters Trust, they don't represent me. They couldn't even sort out a protest, and they have somebody going around with papers with their logo on it, telling everybody, "Oh, we've sorted out this protest." And they should have done a lot more over years if they really wanted to represent us fans, and they haven't, right? And now they're on this board. I don't see anybody on that board standing up to Josh or Vinay or Tim Lewis and saying, well, no, what you're doing is wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the impression I get from this. And I'll come to you last, Tom. Because, again? No, well, because that was Tom's Twitter, and that he put out a tweet. Yeah. And I read a lot of people agreed with Tom, actually, which was surprising. And so I'll come to you.
Why does it surprise you? That's interesting that you say that. Why is it surprising?
Because I don't know. I thought a lot of people might jump on the idea. Of
a lot of people did.
The fact that, oh, you know what? It's good that we've got fans now representing us. And I'm glad, surprised to a certain degree, that people have seen through it, that they've seen past it. And they're like, hold on, these guys don't represent me. What are they supposed to represent? If there's an issue that needs to be debated, right, quite strongly from a fan's point of view. I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a topic on the table, right, and all of these guys are sitting on the table, right, and the topic is fans paying the prices that we pay at Arsenal, right? Who do you think is going to stand up quite firmly to these guys, to Josh or to Vinay, and you know, because listen, it's quite nice being on that board, all these pictures taken, all nice, So would they want to jeopardize that? Or they would actually stand up? Well, I'm hoping that they would, because that's what they're there. I don't think they will.
From listening to the fans forum that happened after the Super League fiasco, and a shout out to, I think it's Akil that was there. He did, to be fair to him, really did stand up for the fans. Akil, yeah, he really did stand up to Josh in that fans forum meeting, and he, like, you may not agree with his opinions on social media or whatever, but like he really did stand up for the fans in that. So I was impressed by how they asked questions. Some of the questions not so much, but that was quite a good kind of listen to. I think there's a few YouTube channels that have published it. But look, I'm really glad, Shaheen, actually, that you kind of angled it in that way, because the fact
Thank
that
you,
you've
Mr. Canton.
I've been called that in years. Your priority was to look at it from the positive, that you saw like the good responses, which maybe I need to learn a bit more, because I was really kind of taken aback by a lot of the negative responses. And that really did bug me, was that how many people set out with the primary of trying to justify what we saw in the image. I mean, I'm not going to name names, but a person replied to the tweet saying, "It's not color, it's culture. I can't tell by looking at them what their culture is, background, where they grew up. If they could afford to visit games out of their surplus or saved up to go to the experience at Highbury or Ashburton Grove." I replied saying, "Let me know when culture changes your gender, because it doesn't matter what your culture is. Like, if you're not female, you can't. There's no one that can put forwards the female perspective."
Yeah.
And I was looking on. I don't think I'll be able to get it up quick enough now. But I was getting up the when that advisory board announcement was made on the Arsenal website. And in fact, yeah, I've got it right now. And two of the key bullet points were, one of them was growing the profile of Arsenal women and women's football more generally.
Perfect.
I mean, to not have female representation when that's one of your key primary pushes is really frustrating. And the one above that is our work on diversity and inclusion, in particular, the fight against online abuse. How can you have anyone there that's not experienced racism, any people of color on that board that's experienced racism, and have a discussion about how to tackle that without the empathetic feelings of someone that's experienced? It really boggles my mind how that and I know it's a really old saying, and every year that rolls around, we say it's 2021, it's 20, whatever, but how in 2021, the club cannot have the foresight to, think if they're going to put this to a vote, there's a chance that they could have everybody on that panel from every single respective supporter group that is going to be a white male. And there needed to be more of an effort made to ensure that there was more female representation and more representation of people of colour on that board.
I think, Tom, I'm so glad you referred to that kind of the terms of reference, because you've used what Arsenal themselves have circulated as the basis of this group's existence to deconstruct the flaw in who they've selected. It boggles the mind that they could be that silly about it. The only defense you can come up with is that all of these people were elected. So Arsenal could pass the buck and say, I'd say it could be that for each position, there were 5 nominees, and Arsenal could have made sure that in each position, one of the nominees was female, one of the nominees was a person of color. And it just so happens that the fan base or the people that voted have selected what we saw. I would like to have seen the club do more. And when they've looked at the criteria of the people who they've selected, so they've basically said it's the board shall be comprised of the following members representing the supporters. One from the Arsenal Independent Supporters Association, ISA, or ASA, whatever. One from Arsenal Supporters Trust, Gay Gooners, UK-based supporters club, overseas-based supporters club, Arsenal Disabled Supporters Association, and Fan Forum 18 to 24-year-old. Why was there not a female fan? Why not have that as a separate category to guarantee some female representation? The fact that Tom mentioned that one of the responsibilities of this group is to grow the profiles of Arsenal women and women's football, and you're leaving men to do it, I just think, my God, come on, what age are you living in? And the other one is about the club's work on diversity and inclusivity, in particular, the continuing fight against online abuse. Women experience a completely different kind of online abuse to any one of us or any one of the people in that image. We cannot relate to that online abuse. So how the hell can we, further the club's work on fighting that? It's just...
This is what you're reading more, right?
Yeah, those 8 bullet points there in the middle of your screen they're the themes, and it's those 2 in particular, that our work on diversity and inclusion, in particular, fight against online abuse, and growing the profile of Arsenal women and women's football more generally. Look, when you break down, if we have a different, say you have a separate discussion, say we just take it at face value, like what impact can a fan advisory boards have? Say that in a theoretical landscape we had the best representation we could. Let's just pretends that we've got what we would like and have that perfect board. How much do we genuinely think of an impact is that board going to be allowed to have on the club? I doubt it's going to be very little. I don't know how they are. I don't know what kind of tangible impact it's going to be able to have and how much the club's going to do. And that's coming from kind of a pessimistic viewpoint based upon my experience of what the club's done in the past. They may prove me wrong. I really hope they do. But that in itself is a real kind of, the real crux of this is seeing any evidence of whether or not it's going to work. And a lot of the responses to the tweet that I put up was, well, let's wait and see what happens. But that then brings it right round to the original discussion of, why do we have to wait and see what can happen when the board doesn't fully represent all of the fan base?
And two more things. Why no international fan? You know,
I think there was one. To be fair, I think there was.
There was one international.
But in terms of what I've read out, there. Oh, sorry, overseas-based supporters club. No, fair enough. I take that back. Yeah, but then so that I said 2 points. Forget that. I scrapped that. Take that on the chin. The last point is that. Tom, you're saying you hope the club proves you wrong.
Sorry, Mo. Go on. There's just someone in the chat.
One of Tom's fans.
You may be about to get hit by a load of bots, so you need to be quick on the block
all right.
button.
Well, what I was going to say is that it says here in the terms of reference that during each meeting, the board may agree to pass recommendations to the Arsenal board relating to any other issues or plans discussed. So what they're basically saying is that we may agree to just pass on a recommendation, or we may just not do anything at all. So when I first saw the headline in the summer, I think it was July, that it said there's going to be a fan advisory board, I reacted straight away and I tweeted, really good, really positive step. And then I read the article and then I deleted my tweet, because effectively what it's saying is that we'll follow you on Twitter. You know, they can get the fan sentiment by following some random fans on Twitter and then just ignoring them. They should have gone further and they should have said that this will be passed to the board. That would have been the bare minimum for me. Not we may decide to or we may not decide to. And then if they were really, really serious, they would have said the outcome, the conclusion of the consensus of these fans, not employees of the club, the fans will give you one vote on the board table to have a say in the decisions. But this is just
Lev,
gimmick.
Yeah, Lev, do you think this is done as a stunt or as an gimmick, if you like? Whereas, you know, Josh is there, Tim Lewis is there, Vinay is there, right? So these are the three guys that make decisions at Arsenal. And as Mo just said, they can easily filter out what comes out of this meeting, and then whatever that is sounds okay and it doesn't really change anything, they'll pass as a recommendation and the board accepts it, and they say, well, look, you know, you guys said something, we heard, we passed it on to the board, they've implemented it. But what I mean by is this a stunt is that, are they going to discuss ticket prices? Are they going to discuss match day experiences for the average man that goes to Arsenal and pays ridiculous amount of money for burger or drink or bottle of small water? That's what I mean when I say, is this a stunt, or do you think something comes of it?
Listen, I'm pessimistic nowadays when it comes to things like this. I mean, right the way from kick out racism and all these sort of things. I think I see a lot of virtue signaling. They say all the right things from a marketing perspective. They do all the right things from a marketing perspective. But when it really comes down to it, things aren't done as they should be. You know, like, you know, you see when they're going to fine a club for racism or chants, they get away with a 10 grand fine or something ridiculous like that. And, you know, then they have plastered all around the flipping stadium, kick out racism. So, I mean, these sort of things, I just think is all about maintaining control, but at the same time, having the right sort of, shall we say, perception that you have choice and we have a supporters representation and all this sort of stuff. But nowadays, it's all about maintaining control. I don't think we have much of a say as fans anymore. The only way we can have a say is to not turn up to games or not buy season tickets. But even then, there's waiting list upon waiting list. So it's all smoke and mirrors, as Captain Uncle was put in here. They say the right things. It's all marketing. It's all glossy. It's all there for everybody to see. But as you've seen, when you go look under the surface, there's not the right type of representation there. There's not enough diversity. There's not enough. It's not broad enough. There's not anyone there that can actually ask questions in a certain way. Oh, gay gooners will get a gay guy. Oh, disabled will get a blind person. We'll do. It's there. All the pieces are there, but the picture doesn't. It's not the picture we all want to see. We want to see proper fans representing us, and that's what That's what we're not getting.
Just before I continue this conversation, we've got about 180 people watching and we've got 60 likes, which is ridiculous. Come on, guys. Hit the like button for us. Subscribe to, obviously, Arsenal Lounge if you're here. Subscribe to Tom, Gooner Talk TV. Subscribe to Moh Haider's. He's got his own channel, his name, Moh Haider. So please hit the like and subscribe to all of us.
Jesus, they hit enough likes when they wanted to see my black eye last week, didn't they?
I know, you see.
Maybe you need to get injured, Shaheen.
But Shaheen, one thing I'd say you're perhaps been a little bit harsh on is that there's no way of telling whether these fans would say what really needs to be said, whether they'd properly represent us. There's no way of telling that. So let's give them a chance. I'd say what Arsenal have done in terms of what they've allowed as the selection has been awful, because it's simply just unfair on so many people. Like all the women that support Arsenal, I just think it's so ridiculous that the specific abuse that women get in football. There was a campaign, wasn't there? Her Game Too, where a lot of female fans were, well, in fact, all female fans, because it was about women, were partaking in. And then you see something like this and you just think to yourself, one step forward, two steps back. Well, this is now when it's at the highest level. You're there with the son of the owner of the club, with the CEO and all that sort of stuff, and not a woman in sight. So it is a real shame. So Arsenal deserve a lot of stick, but give the actual fans a chance. It's not their fault that they've been put there. So hopefully they do a decent job for us.
I'm not critical of the people that are there, right? I'm critical of the whole thing because, listen, I don't know if you agree with me, right? But if you're in a room, if you're sitting around a table with Josh Kroenke, son of the owner of Arsenal Football Club, Vinay, Tim Lewis, right? Whether you like it or not, at least for the first few meetings, and I don't think these meetings will be happening weekly, right? There will be maybe twice a year or something like that, right? You will be intimidated.
No.
You don't think so?
Fair. No, I don't think that's fair. Listen,
maybe you wouldn't be, but you have to accept that some people may be, and they may not say what they actually, because listen, if they're talking about Arsenal tickets, for example, right? If I'm sitting in a meeting, I'm thinking, right, I need to tell this guy Josh here that, listen, you guys are charging so much money. You guys are this. You guys are not in a rude way, in a polite way, right? That you're overcharging us fans. You're not investing enough in a club, and it takes some bottle, right, for somebody to stand up in front of all of these people and say that. Now, I'm not saying these guys don't have it. I'm not saying everybody don't have it. I for one, will probably get up and say it, right? But it's an intimidating situation. And maybe these guys have thought of it when they put these together. And what I wanted to ask you guys, right, because you seem to know about this a lot more than I do, right, is what is the selection process? These guys are there, what, they were voted in, or they were picked, as Lev said, we need someone to represent.
Did anyone know there was any kind of?
I didn't know.
Did anyone know about it?
No, I didn't know there was anything going on. But this is my point. Where they picked to okay, we need to represent someone. We need to have somebody from the LGBT, that community. Let's go get that person. The disabled. Let's get Daniel. Let's get this person.
Yeah, but we don't know that, though. They might
automatically
come from an election process.
It was an election.
My question is, were they voted in? If they were, by who?
They were. Yeah, they were voted in by the members of their associations. So, like the AST representative was voted in by the members of AST, and so on.
It's quite obvious that who would get in.
I'm not surprised that Tim Payton was the representative of AST, for instance. So I'm not. No, I'm not.
More, are you?
No, I'm not. But you know what? I don't want this to be AST bashing. I think that they're all
No, it's not. It's not. This is my
what you
point.
started,
Because I wanted to know who were the nominees.
Hey, look,
Yeah,
I don't. To be honest, what we've done here and what we've talked about with the representation, all of that, none of what we've said is to be critical about those people that are in that photo. I've said nothing bad, not one thing about the people that are there, because that's not what we're here to talk about. And it's not it's not necessarily their fault that that they've been voted in or whatever. Like,
listen, if any four of us, right, receives a letter from Arsenal saying,
do you want to represent the advisory board?
Would you like to be part of this? Would any of us say no?
Of course not. Of course we would. But Shaheem, this is where I think you're being unfair. I think this is where being unfair. You're saying they may be intimidated, but why not? Why not spin it and say they may be really good? And that's where I kind of feel like when you're saying they may be intimidated, you're starting a narrative that I would feel frustrated if I was in that picture and someone said that. I'd be thinking, but that's not what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to.
But that's a possibility, Mo.
It is a possibility, but anyone's up to you what headline you put out there. It's also a possibility. One of them will look Josh Kroenke in the eye and say to him, "Aren't you embarrassed that you're only here because your daddy's rich?" Someone might say that to him. That's what I would say if I was there.
I know you would.
So
that's why you're not there, Mo.
That's why you're not there.
Look, the only thing is,
I agree with you, Mo, 100%.
The only thing is, I would like to see if one of the people in that picture, one of the fans who's there to represent, isn't there for the free drinks and free little snacks they probably give out, and they actually say, "I don't care if you don't like me. I'm here to really say the hard-hitting things that need to be said." I would like to see how the club treat that person and how the club kind of basically, whether they shoo them out. I was actually part of a fans forum once, and I said at the time in front of very senior people at Arsenal that the way Stan Kroenke takes money out the club for very vague advisory services rather than dividends, if I was HMRC, it would be a form of tax avoidance or tax evasion, because he's not paying. Basically, when you take it above that line of, tax, you then save money on corporation tax. This might be a bit too technical, right? But basically, it's a business expense that he was taking out, which means that there's less money to charge corporation tax on. And the only reason he was doing that is because if he took a dividend, he'd always also have to pay Usmanov a dividend. And that's why he wasn't doing it. So I said that, if I can say that, and another time I was there at, I can't even remember what the event was, but I asked Ivan Gazidis a question. And I said to him, Arsenal were the only club in Europe's top 5 leagues not to sign an outfield player. What on earth makes you think that you're so special that you got it right and everyone else got it wrong? I was able to ask 2 tough questions when I had the audience. So why can't these guys? Let's be fair to them.
That's why you was only on it once, Mo.
You're absolutely right, Mo, right? They could go in there and ask questions, right? I'm just saying, my point was, right, have they created an environment that you would put people in there and they will be intimidated to ask questions? I don't think this guy from AST would be, right? Because I've seen him go on Sky, he's seen these things. But it's just an opinion, just as much I agree with what you're saying, you have to also agree with me that there is a possibility that somebody may not look.
But Shaheem, there's always going to be that possibility.
Say, listen, you guys are charging too much.
I think we should just focus more on who's not there rather than how these guys are going to act, because we don't know.
My point is, look, someone might share a link of the Arsenal Lounge and say it's a possibility that these 4 are going to go on and abuse the players and the manager. And if we saw that, we'd be like, what? Why would you say that? What are you
take your point,
that? That's my issue.
I take your point. I take your point 100%. And I agree with you.
So let's give them a chance. Let's give the fans.
No, of course we are giving them a chance. I'm not as I said earlier, I'm not knocking them. I hope they do what they're supposed to be doing.
Let's focus on the positive possibility, not the negative possibility, is what I'm saying.
Guys, we're fifth. We're fifth. We're doing all right.
No,
so this is a.
Do you think what's your thoughts on this?
I've already said
what we just discussed.
These things for me, I don't even bother with them anymore. Right? It doesn't. I've got enough to focus on. This sort of thing I don't focus on anymore, because for me, once clubs have become so corporate, I just think it's all about maintaining control and then just doing the right things in the public eye. Whether or not these guys do question them behind the scenes, whether they stand up to them, we'll never know. The only thing I will say is there's clearly a lack of diversity there. They could have looked at women. They could have looked at, people from different backgrounds that could maybe rightfully say, listen, prices and this, that, and the other. Let's try and focus on the people that maybe can't afford these sort of season tickets and etc. Different ethnic backgrounds would have been good. Different sort of financial backgrounds and different sort of cultures would have been good. But how these guys perform behind the scenes, we can't judge. So I'm not going to judge.
Yeah.
Well,
unlike you, Shaheen.
Listen, I haven't judged them.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I just gave my opinion, and obviously on that front, me and Moh had different takes on the same thing, which is this show is all about, because we kind of he says his point, I say my point, I win the discussion, we move on.
Hey, there's something, Shaheen, there's something I want to bring up. There's something I want to bring in the chats here. There's some people saying it's the luckiest fifth ever. When we're being positive now, right? We've had a couple of shows recently where we've been accused of being negative. I've looked at some of the comments. I think the show we did with Sophie, some people accuse us of being negative nannies and whatever, Nancy's, whatever you want to call it. Now that we are fifth, some people was calling us lucky and, it's fake positivity and all of that. I don't understand. I mean, we're doing all right. The team's playing well. There's definitely galvanized. The players look like they're playing for each other right now. We've questioned it with Arteta's man management. There's a good little purple patch going on. Why is it suddenly negative again? I don't understand.
I don't know, man. People have a lot of opinions. The only thing I can say in defense of all four here is we have gone in hard on Mikel Arteta. I personally have. Right?
Oh, I have.
Also, all four of us, including myself, we've given him credit where he deserved. Like today, nobody said Mikel Arteta got this wrong. For the past, 2 shows that we've done, nobody's gone in on hard on Arteta. We're all saying, yes, long term, still questionable, but he's doing great right now. And I hope he keeps it up. Because if he keeps it up, that means my team is winning. That
the signings are doing well. That's one thing I will say. The signings seem to you look at Edu. We questioned
What
Edu.
did I say?
We questioned Edu, but we did also say in previous shows, right? It's going to take some time to be able to judge Edu. And right now, you can't say that signings haven't been great. Like Tomiyasu's been brilliant. Was it who else?
Lokonga,
Tavares. For me, right now, Tierney's got a problem. Right? So
do you remember we did that show, Lev, after the transfer window where we went through Edu's comments and he did that interview and we were very critical about when he said, we're not going to talk about top 4, top 6, top 8. And I think quite rightly we were critical about that because you want to see your club have a target. But what he did say in that interview was, I'm saying there's no targets because I want you to wait and see what these players do. I want to see what Arteta does with the full squad available. And from that first game of this unbeaten run, that was the first time we had Ramsdale in the game against Norwich. It's the first time we had White and Gabriel playing together. It's the first time that we've had our signings integrated into this. It's the first time Partey came back from injury that game, and Aubameyang and Lacazette fully fit too. And what for me is so frustrating, and I think that's what you were getting to, Shaheen, is that I think after these 10 games that we've been unbeaten, if there are still people that are actively trying to kind of put across this negative persona or negative kind of connotations of Arteta, or saying that this is trying to explain the reasons why we've won or we're unbeaten, that for me, it's just pure unrivaled evidence of a personal agenda against Arteta. And that is all that it is. And you're never going to be able to convince these people otherwise that Arteta's the right man for the job. And to be honest, I'm still yet to be convinced. I've sat there and said, I'm not Arteta in yet, if you like. I'm very much on the fence. And I want to see at Christmas, once we played Liverpool and United and Everton and West Ham, if we are still tangibly in the race for top 4. But I'm not going to sit here after 10 unbeaten games and say, it's not good enough. Oh, do you remember those results at the start of the season? I'm not going to sit here and say that because that's ridiculous. That's utterly ridiculous to sit there and try and peddle that agenda.
Yeah, no, you 100% not agree, and we've all said it before, all 4 of us, that there is nothing we would like more to eat that humble pie, because at the end of the day, we all want Arsenal to play good football, we want Arsenal to win, we want Arsenal to compete and win trophies, and if it's with Arteta and if he's delivering that, then we'll put our hand up and say sorry. Edu comes shopping where I work. Opposite, there's a Waitrose. I've seen him a couple of times in there. If I see him again,
did you question him like you would on the board? Like
no,
on that
I
panel?
have no problem.
Did you question him about it?
I've actually went once and I spoke to him, and he was a very nice guy, right? Well, that was before the transfer window. But I have no problem going up to him and saying, listen, we've got a podcast, right? I've criticized you heavily on the podcast before because of the transfer windows. And I'm sorry, man. I got it wrong. You got it right. And I hope you continue doing that. There's nothing
I'll bet he'll be really chuffed to hear that from you.
No, well, he probably doesn't care, but I have no problem doing that.
Yeah, no, fair play.
You know,
he has got it right. You can't argue. And the Rams, apart from that bad thing that Ramsdale did yesterday where he missed the ball, but you can't argue that arguably Ramsdale's probably got the best distribution for goalkeepers in the Premier League. I'm going to say it, even better than Edison. Some of the passing is ridiculous. He's like an outfield player at times. So, I mean, look, you can see why we got Ramsdale.
Yeah. Guys, please hit the like button, subscribe to all three of the channels, Moh Haider Tom, Gooner Talk TV, and Arsenal Lounge.
How many are you? How many are we on, Shaheen? How many likes are we on at the moment?
I don't know. Let me just. Please comment on this video about this Arsenal advisory book. We're 96 likes. Because we do read these comments. Honestly, we read them. I know Tom reads them as well, and we want to see your.
He always bites.
I see Tom sometimes replies to people. And it's good.
Sometimes.
No, yeah, well.
Wait, there was another thing I saw as well. Apparently, Arteta's win ratio is better than Wenger's. Is that right?
Well, I don't know. I didn't see that. But I'm just saying, please comment about this advisory board. So we know what you guys are thinking as well. And then it's a good topic. We've been doing 1 hour and 10 minutes. So we just want to round things up. Lev.
Yes.
No, actually, I'll start with Tom because I'll finish off with you. Tom, your last thoughts or anything that you want to end the show with?
No, just thanks everyone for listening. As Shaheen said, do drop a like. You can find us here every Monday and continue to watch. You can find myself at Thegooner Talk TV on Twitter, or just type in Thegooner Talk on YouTube. I'm there every morning, 8 a.m, pedaling away, doing every show every morning.
Was that you who put out a tweet and said you've seen the Arsene Wenger movie?
I haven't. Harry has, and I know that their Kai's going to the premiere tomorrow. FK's also seen it already as well.
Have you not got an invite, Tom?
I know.
Do they know who you are?
Well, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
I think I'm looking forward to it, man. I think there will be some people in there that will not look good after this. But
after the documentary,
the movie, yeah, because it's one of those things that the emotion is now gone. And we all look back on it, and we don't have not the anger, but we don't have the feeling we had at the time that he needs to go now. We all look back on it like, listen, I'm not gonna lie, right? My eyes was watery that day at the Emirates when he was going around, right? Because I love Arsene Wenger. I do. Did he stay extra? Yes. Should he left earlier? Yes. But I love the man for what he's done for Arsenal. Arsenal will not be where they are today if it was not because of Arsene Wenger. And I love him, and now I think people have that feeling towards him, and they're going to put all these clips, people protesting, Wenger at this, Wenger at that, and it will not particularly look good on them. Mo.
Last words, I'll just say, listen, things are finally going well. 5th in the league, 2 points behind Liverpool, albeit 20 goals and goal difference. Let's just enjoy it. International break can be one where we just sort of enjoy it, and less negativity. Let's just be fair to Mikel Arteta. In spite of what you or I or anyone might have said in the past, he's doing the business now, and he deserves a bit of respect for that.
It's a big difference compared to last international break, Mo, isn't it?
Big time, but this is what we all wanted. You guys have heard me say this line before, right? I just want the most efficient route to success for Arsenal Football Club. And that's what we're getting right now. The people that are already there, without having to change anyone or anything, are doing the job. That's Edu, that's Vinay, that's Josh, that's Mikel. I know Granit Xhaka's injured, but he's at the club. We're doing well. Things are working. So I'm really happy. That's it.
Very good. Lev, did you not agree with what I said about Arsene Wenger?
No, you're just bringing a tear.
Because you went like this, and I
Like,
thought,
imagining your eyes getting watery, Shaheen. Just
yeah, man, I was
struck a
emotional.
chord with
If you're
me.
telling me you was you there that day, I assume you were.
Yeah, I was.
Was you not
thinking-
emotional?
Yeah, I was, but then the problem was that he'd overstayed his welcome, and for some
Yeah,
people,
but
it became a
still,
bit
man.
more of a relief. You know, that the whole thing was over, the whole
You know,
saga. So
Lev, you know when it was one of those things when he left, right? And then it was very difficult it was something difficult for me to look at Arsenal dugout, right? And not see Arsene Wenger, see somebody else there.
yeah.
Because as far as I go back, I've always seen Arsene
It was
Wenger
like
there.
when United lost Fergie, right? Look what's happened to them since, and look what's happened to us since we've lost Wenger. It's shown that it's left a massive hole that needs filling. But look, on a more positive note, we're now moving in the right direction. We seem to have bought really well. We've complained that we at some points that we were spending too much here and there, but now we're looking at these signings and they've fitted in and they've changed the mentality in the team. It seems it's more steel and the team wants to play for each other. There's a bit more, there was a moment yesterday. Josh King gave Gabriel a bit of I think it was an elbow accidentally or whatever it was. It was a bit of a rough and tumble, and then later on, Gabriel gave him an elbow in the chest. So we're seeing a little bit more of a hardcore mentality in that team. It's looking positive. Let's hope that all the players come back free from injury from the internationals. That's one thing that could mess us up. I'm still very nervously looking at AFCON, what we're going to do when that period comes, and then that's going to be make or break for our season. So I hope they've made plans for that. We're talking about strikers, but for me, midfield is even more of a concern. It's going to leave a big hole. Is Ainsley Maitland-Niles good enough to fill that hole whilst Partey and Aubameyang as well being away? That's going to be
Levy's certainly good enough to fill in for penalty duties. Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
He certainly is, mate. But he had a good game yesterday, but it was Watford after all. It wasn't Liverpool, it wasn't City. So let's hope that Arsenal have got a contingency plan for AFCON. But right now it's positive. Let's enjoy the internationals and let's look forward to the Liverpool game. And I'm glad to be back.
Very good. I also agree. I think it's been a very, very good run. I hope everybody comes back all fit and well. I hope this Arsenal advisory board do what they're supposed to be doing and they stick up for fans, and we'll see some positive changes in the club. And talking about Arsene Wenger, I'm very, very happy that I see him happy and I see him well and healthy, and he's got a nice job with FIFA. And I hope that this movie does justice for him because he deserves it. And there's nothing I'd love to see more than him being healthy and happy, and he's got that smile back on his face that he didn't have towards the end of his years. Huh?
I think you're going to start crying again, aren't you?
No,
you're
man,
getting really
I
emotional
love
about
this.
this.
Regardless of the guy is just, look at some of the football managers nowadays, man.
Look at some of the football we played under him. It was quality.
Yeah, it was class.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in, for watching us. Please hit the like. Make sure you comment about the topics that we discuss. Subscribe to Moh's channel. Subscribe to Arsenal Lounge and Tom. And Lev, you want to do the bizo?
Guys, it's been emotional. I'm so happy to be back. I'm glad to be with these guys in particular, and I hate Josh Kroenke's beard. So on that note,
you know what? I just
thought I'd mention it. I hate the beard. It looks ridiculous.
I was going to say this. I forgot you said this. You know the cartoon Aladdin? Does Josh Kroenke not look like Jafar in there? The evil character with the beard and everything.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's not Jafar so good. Do you know what I mean? Let's hope it's all going.
You know which one it is?
Yes, I know who.
Google it, man. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But anyway,
for those of you who didn't understand the pronunciation, he meant Aladdin, but from the Middle Eastern, it's Aladdin. So on that note, peace out, everyone.